Thanks, Mary. That got me in.
Happy to help. Sorry for the delay.
No problem. Morning, Jay. Morning, Charlie.
Hey, good morning, Scott.
How are you gentlemen today?
Well, pretty good, actually. Supposed to be in trial on May 31st and plaintiff dismissed the case.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I get to go play in a golf or a charity golf screen or tournament today. So I'm of the opinion any day you're playing golf is a good day.
Well, I'm not a golfer. I'm so bad they won't even let me in putt-putt.
There's good days and there's bad days.
All bad for me. It's not my thing.
Just the three of us right now, Scott?
Yes.
Okay. I might step off camera, eat my yogurt real quick.
Go right ahead.
All right.
Morning, Mayor.
Good morning, Scott. How you doing?
Fine, sir. How are you?
Doing any better? Couldn't stand it.
I hear you. Superintendent Parker, good to see you, sir.
Hey, good morning.
Morning. Morning, Judge.
Hey, good morning. How's everybody this morning?
Hey, good morning. We're
thank
good here.
Living the dream, sir. Living the dream.
Absolutely. Well, it's 10 a.m. and we'll call this meeting to order. I'd like to call the roll. I'll do it. Take care of it. I've got, please let the record reflect that Joe Covington was present. I see Billy Parker present, and I see Mayor Jenkins present. We've taken care of that. We also have Scott Hall, our director, and Jay Phillips, our counsel, with us as well. And Jay, could you introduce your guest?
This is Charlie Cole.
Hey, Charlie, good to see you.
You too, Judge.
With that said, then we'll move to consideration of our previous minutes from our last meeting on 4/26/2023. Those were presented. Any questions related to those, and would there be a motion?
I have no questions. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We will then move to our Sturgill Turner Special Counsel report.
Yes, Judge. I've got Jay Phillips. We've both been working on some matters. Jay's done almost all of the contract review. So I wanted him here today to, he met with Scott earlier last week in their pre-meeting, but I wanted him to explain what's going on with the agreement.
So for the lockbox agreement between Fifth Third and Georgetown Scott County Revenue Commission, pretty much a form contract was proffered. And there's a hang up on one or two terms relating to some indemnity and limitation of liability. We have sent those back for final review, hopefully. But at the end of the day, it's something a governmental entity must address in their contracts.
So there's a constitutional provision says government entities cannot indemnify. So they can't indemnify a third party, the taxpayer can't. So that's one thing we're dealing with. And then they're trying to limit damages. If we can't get it resolved, those two issues taken out, would the board want us to bring it back or work it out with Scott?
We definitely have to adhere to that. And I agree with you because we deal with it. We've dealt with ourselves on different things here with the Scott Physical Court. I would hope that they would remove that just because it's not possible. If they don't remove it, we're at a stalemate.
There's one option, and Jay and I talked about this. You can add to the extent applicable by law, but obviously we would rather just have the provision moved altogether.
Yeah, it's kind of odd to me that they're making such an issue of this because I know for a fact that Louisville Metro and Lexington Fayette both use Fifth Third for their lockbox operation, and I can't imagine they would have agreed to this either.
So I would just ask for an email back after you get feedback from them. If they were agreeing to remove that and y'all are good with it, then I would say that the commission would be good with it. Billy,
Okay.
Mayor Jenkins, any questions related to that?
No, I would agree with that completely.
No, I'm good with that.
All right. The other one is a limitation of damages, and I can let Jay explain that.
So the limitation of damages clause, I believe, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it is largely relating to intellectual property, and it's infringement on intellectual property, and it's an odd limitation of liabilities clause for a governmental entity to have on tap. I suggested just striking it altogether, but again, we will see what the bank wants to do on that.
All right. We'll wait for an update from you all on that as well.
There's one other thing I wanted to bring your attention. Our bill recently was $2,400. I don't think we sent it over to Scott. We don't have to bill that this month, and we could go in the next fiscal year if we need to, but I think that exhausts the monies that were already in the budget from hiring us a couple of years ago that weren't spent. So I wanted to bring that to your attention as well.
I appreciate that, Jay. And I think, since this situation started, where we needed to go down this road of having expanded counsel from you all when we had the change of our counsel when Andrew Hartley was the counsel. Part of the conversation today and consideration in our budget conversations is looking at and trying to be the best steward of tax dollars. Looking at, should we consider having outside counsel, for the rest of the year and going forward into this budget year, and then, or should we look at, a general counsel assistant director position? And back when this happened in January, the timing of it, I don't like making big changes in the middle of budgets like that if we don't have to. And we said we would address this at the time of budget. So we're going to have this conversation, and the commission will have to make a decision on what they think's best to go forward with. But I do think there will still be circumstances, no matter what we do, if we have a general counsel assistant director position, there'll still be circumstances where we'll need outside counsel from time to time. that'd be a conversation for this meeting as well. So I appreciate you bringing that up, and we do need to talk about it today, I think.
Yeah, and this is Charlie. I'll just tell the board like we do all of our clients, which almost all of mine are government entities. We're willing to do as little or as much or nothing, just whatever you all need help with.
Well, I appreciate that. Very much. Any other comments or questions there from any of the other commissioners or Scott?
No,
No,
I think
I'd be in agreement as well that we go ahead and, we've had some time to deliberate, I think, and think a little bit, mull over this. So yeah, I'm prepared to discuss that item for sure.
Same here.
All right, very good. And we'll bring that up later in the meeting. I'll turn it over to Scott now for number 5, request for approval of surplus disposition order.
Thank you, Judge. With your permission, I'd like to go back to the approval of the minutes for just 1 second. We need Superintendent Parker as the Secretary of the Revenue Commission Board to sign off on those minutes, and we're several months behind on that. I just wanted to ask Superintendent Parker, what we can do is create a digital e-sign document on that, which Jessica said yesterday that would be appropriate since it's just your signature. If Pam, our admin, can create that for you, just send it to you, and you could just go through and click e-sign all of those. Are you okay with that, or would you rather do a wet signature on these?
Either works for me. You all are conveniently located. So if it's if it's easier for you all for me to just swing by, I could very easily do that.
No, it's actually easier. We can just get them all together for you, and you can just click, get all caught up on them. And then once a month, we could just email that to you, and it's just a matter of you going in and clicking on it. And I think that would probably be a better use of your time, given your busy schedule.
Well, that works.
Thank you, sir. All right, so we have a request for approval of surplus disposition. This was discussed last month. This is something Jay and Jessica and I discussed. We will need to circulate this for wet signatures from all 3 of the commissioners. This is the language here that was put together on this. We have 4 items here we're disposing. One is an old Igloo ice maker. When we moved into this nice facility here in the water company building, we got needed to buy a refrigerator, so we bought one with an ice maker. So we're going to do this on surplus disposition. And we have an HP printer that we no longer use, and 2 very expensive toner cartridges that somebody might be interested in. So we just need a motion to approve this, and then we'll pass this document on for a wet signature from all 3 commissioners.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any other questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Move on to number 6 with Scott in general discussion.
Yes, because we do have the preliminary budget to discuss and some of the related issues, I wanted to move things around a little bit. We'll go ahead and do a general discussion next, and we can go through all the stats and everything and kind of get that out of the way. So for today's meeting, there were no Cabinet for Economic Development reports, no new projects approved in April. We do have the KJRA report for March, but just like February, we're in the last month of their fiscal year, this particular employer, where there are no incentive payments being made. So this is just the same as March, and starting in April, we'll renew with the payments on this. Any questions on the reimbursement summary?
Nope, that's good. Good that we've cleared that hurdle for the year, and that we'll take it back up after July 1, correct?
Yes, I'll be, if I don't already have it in my inbox, I'll be getting the April bill reimbursement summary very shortly. So
Very good.
So that takes care of that bullet item. Last month we brought you some information about the Dropbox. Well, we have some lettering mock-ups here to share with you. We've kind of circulated this through the staff, and we've all agreed with this design, but we wanted to run it past you for one final look. This is pictures they took when they were here, and they just digitally superimposed the graphics they're proposing. So this would be the front where the taxpayer would come up, pull this down, and put whatever they have in here. Of course, no cash in this box. That's something we want to make very clear. This is our actual logo. It looks a little small here, but when the taxpayer is here, they're going to be right in front of this box. So it's going to be very legible, very easy to see. They'll either pull up or drive up to this box. And then, of course, we really wanted to differentiate our box because the water company has a during business hours only box that they have that they put a bag on when they close for overnight. And they also have a drive-through with a night drop as well. So we wanted to make sure that we eliminate, we'll probably still get some water bills in here, but we want to try to minimize that. So that's why the big bold lettering here, drop box, would be the back, which is what they would see from the street when we're coming into the parking lot. And then these are the two sides, Revenue Commission drop box, just very simple. We think the red around the lettering really helps it jump out. And then this red stripe here on both sides and the back is a red reflective stripe. We do get a lot of big trucks in here, occasionally a tractor trailer. Our shredded truck is a box truck, but it is gigantic. So try to minimize the impact of possibly having this bumped into or knocked over or something along those lines. So just wanted to address that with the three of you and see if you had any comments on the design.
The only recommendation I would make is on the front where your logo is, to just add a red background with a white logo, so you could see that logo a little bit better. And maybe that's nothing, but I just, from the picture, I can't really see. And I know when you're pulling up to see it, you'll see it, but it would stand out. It would definitely stand out with a red background with a white print on it.
Well, and you bring up a good point, because that would make it more consistent with the rest of the lettering as well, with the red border around the logo. So, all right, we'll make that change and then we'll move on with that. We're still struggling to find a contractor to pour the 4x4 concrete pad for it, but we're working through that. So,
we had our steps recently done out here by a contractor. If you want to send me an email, I'll send you the contact for the crew that did our steps on the west side of the courthouse, and they've done a good job. So I would highly recommend them.
yes, we would appreciate that. We've got a couple other angles we're working as well, but we'd like to have that as well. So I will be sure we get you an email on that. So, any other comments or questions on the design of the drop box?
Nope.
No, sir.
Okay. So we did want to say thank you for allowing us to close the office Friday and go to Cola Spring. Unfortunately, I had a really bad sinus infection and I missed it Friday. That's the first one in 15 years I've ever missed. I was really bummed out about that, but good reviews from my staff and other people that I know that went. So it was a good training session for us. Also last week, a week ago today, in fact, I was in Louisville at the Papa John's headquarters, the Secret Service. They have a Kentucky Cyber Fraud Task Force, and that was a very good event that I attended that morning. Some really great threat intelligence came out of that. Secret Service was there, FBI, Department of Homeland Security. So that was a great event, and continuing to stay on top of those very rapidly changing issues. And I can tell you AI is something we're definitely going to have to deal with this ChatGPT. This artificial intelligence is really changing the threat landscape, and not for the better. So definitely keep an eye on that. When we the next item here, customer satisfaction survey in 2018, when we redid our website, we had a customer satisfaction survey, and nobody ever took it, which we thought was odd because it's right on the front page. But we finally got one the other day, and I wanted to share it with you. Of course, we've taken out the taxpayer's name and their phone number, but they had called in here, needed help filing their tax return, and gave us a very good score here. Good on professionalism, friendliness, knowledge, and overall an excellent experience is what this taxpayer said. And I can tell you, we figured out who it was. It was John Higgins, one of our tax compliance analysts. So kudos to John, and another positive customer satisfaction survey, and our very first one. So we're very happy about that one to share that with you.
Good deal.
Reverse escheatment. I met with a judge on an unrelated matter the other day in his office, and I shared this with him. We have figured out, with the help of, I think it's Vanessa at the school board, Superintendent Parker. She worked with Pam, and there is, we do escheatment when checks that we write to taxpayers, usually for refunds, go uncashed. Our auditors require us after 6 months to either, try to reach out to the taxpayer and figure out what's going on. If that fails, then we escheat it to the Kentucky Treasurer, and then people can search that and find missing funds that they're owed. Well, there's also a reverse escheatment for us, and Pam, our auditor, did this, and we found over $11,000 in checks that for a variety of reasons never made it here. So we're working through that process with the Treasurer's Office. They found it. So we will be applying that to our tax collections. The challenge for us is a lot of it's really old, and some of the PO boxes nobody recognizes from, why they were sending them or whatever. So we've got to do a little research to be sure we apply it to net profits or payroll or penalties and interest or whatever. But that's kind of a little bit of a windfall for us. We were real happy and grateful for Vanessa, Superintendent Parker, for helping walk us through that.
I'll be sure to pass that along. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Teamwork makes the dreams work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So our monthly collection stats, April was an outstanding month. We were up 2.3, almost $2.3 million. That's a 44% increase. Now, when we get to the quarterly stats, I'll explain why this is, but don't get too excited about that, because in April of 2022, remember, our largest employer, their payroll provider, was in this weird cycle where that 1 month we'd get no payroll payment, and then the next month we'd get 2, and it would just kind of alternate like that. So we were competing against in April in 2022, where our largest employer did not submit a payroll. So that'll wash out in May, because obviously we'll be competing against May of 2022, where we had 2 payrolls, and it'll be down a little bit. Overall, based on what I'm looking at now, where we are through yesterday, we're still, with April and May, washing out about a $700,000 increase between the 2 months. So, but for April, year over year, the city was up $1 million, 54%, county $1 million, 46%, and the school board's up about 174,000, or almost 19%. So you plug this into the quarterly stats, you can see that puts us up for the year. Again, this will wash out somewhat when we get the May numbers next month, but currently we're about 5.8 million over where we were this time last year. Puts the city up almost 4 million, county up almost 2.9, and school board 554,000. And then I added updated the numbers here, which is what we actually distributed to you, the actual checks after refunds and incentive payments, things of that nature. The city is currently running $2 million over where they were this time last year, county 2.6, and school board $448,000. So that's where we are. And given what I'm seeing right now, I think it's highly likely that we will break the $50 million collection mark for this fiscal year, which is will be quite a milestone for us. So it's looking very good.
That's great data, much appreciated, and appreciate the positive trend.
We'll keep an eye on it for you. Hopefully we're going to finish strong here. And then here is our new accounts. For the month of April, we had 217 new accounts open, business licenses issued here. That's the biggest one this year so far, and only 75 closed. And of course, we're competing against 196 last year and 229. But you'll remember from last year that was account cleanup. The reason these numbers were so big, that many of those businesses closed a long time ago. We just hadn't updated our account. So for the year, first 4 months, we're looking at averaging 157 new business accounts every month and 57 closing. And you can see where we were. So we're at 628 now this year. We were at 427 through April last year, and 228 closed and 439 closed last year. So both of those numbers trending in good direction. And then I kind of just rolled all that into to these new numbers down here at the bottom. So any questions on any of that?
No questions from me. It's
Sir.
No, sir.
Righty. So now we will go into the preliminary budget presented for you to review today. And so what I've done here is I've modified this a little bit here. So as I plug in some numbers here, I've got a couple of COLA scenarios to plug in. These numbers will pre-populate, showing what your contributions will be, the 40-40-20 with these numbers. But I thought I'd like to start first with some of the smaller items here. and go through them. There were some changes, a lot of increases, obviously with inflation. One thing here, the first one is Paycom. This is a separate expense. I believe in the past, this might have been rolled up into here in our reimbursements to the city, but I separated it out because we had a separate account already set up for payroll expenses. And also we would put in here vacancy advertisements. So that number from the data that we reimbursed the city for last year was about $1,600. So I'm gonna keep it at that and separate it out. Risk management, this is also a category. We had put this in another category before, but I'm trying to track risk management moving forward based on some possible new offerings we may have from some of our providers. So the footnote on this is 16. So this is our course and alarm monitoring, which is $100 a month, $1,200 annually. And if you'll recall, last year we had a power surge here. The transformer blew in the KU facility behind us here, and us and the water company were without power for a good chunk of the day. When that happened, our backup battery in our alarm system, it fried it. So we had to pay $500 for a service call outside of our monitoring for them to come out, replace the battery in a service call. So that's why that's in there, and I'm going to keep that in there. We may have to have a service call throughout the year, so I'm just going to leave that at 1,700. Software licenses, no, I'm sorry, office supplies is the next one here. 2,100, it looks like we had a huge drop. That's actually not true. We had misclassified some expenses in the prior budget that were actually not office expenses. We put them down in other expenses. And so that you'll see this is down about 2,100. You'll see it down about 2,100 or 2,200 down in the other expenses. Software licenses did go up about $900. That is footnote 4. Pretty much all these, FileMaker, which is our tax software, 1099 Pro, we use their Service Bureau and Print and Mail to get our 1099s out every year. That's $789. Our Norton Antivirus is $150. QuickBooks is our financial software. That's $2132 a year. We also have Adobe Pro, which is $610 a year. We use that to edit our own form, so we don't have to pay someone to do it. Our Microsoft Office licenses are $105. The actual 1099 Pro software itself is $449 a year. And the only thing we've added new is Prezi Next Plus. Prezi is like a more advanced PowerPoint that Jessica and I both use, and it's pretty inexpensive at $180 a year. So that's why the $900 increase there. Telecom also went up a little bit. That's footnote 5. I'll share with you that that includes our 2 POTS lines. This is outside of our city VoIP system. We're on the city's VoIP system. We have 2 landlines for fax. Fax does not always do well with VoIP, so we've got a couple of extra lines there through Spectrum. And we did have a service call that was $355 that we had to pay. We had some problems with this line, again, due to the power surge. We had some equipment damage, so they came in and did a service call. We got that taken care of. This is something I've added new is Fleet Connect with Verizon. We're going to have a front-facing and rear-facing camera in our fleet vehicle, which would be very beneficial for insurance purposes. And it also has some geo-fencing as well. And then our normal Verizon wireless for our one iPhone that Frank carries with him. Postage increases, it's already gone up once. I think it's going to go up again this year. We've already spent $9,000, and that includes a $3,000 reserve account check that I just sent to Pitney Bowes. So that should cover us for the year, but that's a pretty significant increase. PO box rental went up a little bit. We talked about last month the new postage meter that we got that is compliant. That is footnote 7. The meter rental on this newer machine did go up a little bit. It's they bill us quarterly. It's $2,092 a year. And then also we put in here our leases on our 3 copiers from Canon. This is maintenance agreements, footnote 8 here. I'll show you. Shred-it has, well, first of all, Bluegrass Office Systems has the maintenance. They handle all the maintenance on the leased copiers. That's $3,100. Shred-it has almost doubled with fuel surcharges and everything. That's $242 a month, $29.04. And then this is our standard HVAC quarterly maintenance. They come in, change the filters. That has remained unchanged. 3,500 printing and copying is staying pretty steady. Most of our subscriptions went up here. We got 30 and about a $500 increase. That's footnote 26. That includes our Thomson Reuters legal research Jessica has, White Pages, where we look up try to resolve bad addresses, TransUnion lookup, which helps us find a lot of taxpayers. It also includes our Amazon Prime business, which we do get some of our office supplies from them. That's $179 a year. Quill is our primary office supplier. They seem to have a lot of better deals. That's only $99 a year. Same thing for Sam's Club, $110 a year. We get some office supplies for them. The only new thing here is Zoom because of the changeover in January. So we're paying $192 a year for a Zoom license. Most of our dues here went up a little bit. That's footnote 10. I'll give you some detail on that. Our COLA dues went up, I think, $5. Multiple Municipal Attorney Association of Kentucky, that went up a little bit. Kentucky Bar Association for Jessica went up. Association of Government Accountants, I'm a member of that organization. I think that went up $20 for the year. And this is something new. And we have Tammy as a notary, and we're able to notarize documents for our taxpayers at no charge. So that's $50.90, but that's for 4 years. So that's not an annual. So it was time for her to renew her 4-year notary bond, and so that will be good for 4 years. $35. This is something Mr. Hartley took care of. Jessica's taken over it. It's the $15 annual fee to the Kentucky Secretary of State. They had our address wrong. We had to change that, and that was also an extra $20. Newspaper delivery, that actually went, I think that was an overestimation of the increase. It didn't increase that much. I think it's $78 or $79, so it'll probably go to $80 this year. And then computer, we talked about this last month. You approved the $3,247 to replace Frank's new all-in-one, plus we added another monitor. So that was a little over what we had normally budgeted. For the water company, it's $27,000. That's our office rent of $24,000, and we keep about $3,000 budgeted for repairs. I think we only had about $1,500 in repairs this year. We had a leak in one of our pipes and had to have some drywall repaired and had a plumber fix that. And I think we also had a plumbing issue as well. So that's going to remain at $2,700. I think $2,500 for travel and conference convention. Those are pretty steady. The COLA will be in Henderson in September, but KLC's in Lexington, so there'll be no overnight travel or hotels or anything for me on that. This is one of the question marks. This is footnote 17. This is most of all of our insurance policies except for the automobile. GECP is what we used to call surety bond. If anybody stole any money here, any of us, the Revenue Commission will be covered. Our business owners, which includes our contents and some liability coverage, and also includes a $2 million rider for the water company, which was a part of our lease agreement with them. Cyber risk, last year it was $29,000. I'm budgeting right now $35,000 this year. That may be low. Our managed service provider, BC3, has the underwriting documents. So probably this time next month when we meet, I'll have the quote from Travelers on what the actual increase is. So that's why I've got that highlighted. Staff development, I think 600 is a good number. Leave it there. Jessica tries to take advantage of as much free CLE as she can to help keep that low. This is outside computer services. This went up $10,000. So I'm sorry. Footnote 19. Our MVC3 is our IT. Our second MSP is DB Services, which is database development on our FileMaker database. Both of those went up $29,900 for VC3, and DB Services is $35,100. The new addition is Studio 46, who are helping host this call today. Very appreciative of them. We budgeted $350 a month on that, or $4,200. And then Network Solutions domains. We have to pay for our gscrevenue.com.net, all that kind of stuff. That's $600 a year. So quite an increase there. Other expenses, this looks like it went up, but again, this is part of the 2,100 that came down that was misclassified. Janitorial, break room supplies, our office water, and we did have to buy a copier table for $110 because when Bluegrass Office Systems came in to install our new copiers, the table that one of them was sitting on literally collapsed and the legs came off and the screws pulled out of the wood. It was ugly, but so we did have that there as well. Our vehicle lease actually dropped our payment a little bit. That's footnote 23. We have exceeded our 5-year lease, so we're kind of on a month to month. We're on the city's enterprise fleet lease. And Joe Yee, our rep, told us that, given the craziness in the automobile market right now, we're best to sit tight as long as it's not giving us any problems, and it's not. So that dropped a little bit. That'll save us a little money there. Fuel has actually gone down a little bit, but that's not the full source of this. Frank is also working more in the office and driving less. We've got a lot of electronic projects he's working on that are yielding some good fruit moving forward, and we'll be in future meetings presenting you with some of the outcome from some of those projects and how they're working. We did go up on our expenses for the vehicle a little bit. That's because after 5 years, we had to put a set of tires on it. So normally we just have a little bit budgeted in here for oil changes, cleaning, wiper blades, things like that. But we did have to spend $778 on a new set of tires. So that's why that was a little bit higher. All we have here on the last item, insurance for the vehicle, slight premium increase, and we're talking $8. So that's all the little items. Any questions on any of that? I know that's a lot, but it's a relatively small budget considering what you all are used to.
Yeah, Scott, I always feel when it comes to things like the budget or really just anything where the devil could be in the details, I always feel like you do an excellent job of really keeping us well informed as to what's going into the numbers, where they come from, what changes might be. And sometimes there's cases where like you'll reference stuff that, like you'll recall from last year. And honestly, I would have forgotten except for you to bring it up and remind us. So I'm super appreciative of the information that you've shared for us today.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate those kind comments. And I think in the interest of transparency, since this is a public meeting, we also owe this to the taxpayers to let them know this level of detail as well. So I know it's a lot to go through, but that's, if you don't have any concerns or questions or comments on that, I'll move on to the next budget item.
Please do.
All right, so as we did last year, working with Stacy Clark, and Mayor, thank her for me for putting this information together for this presentation. I put together 2 different scenarios. I know the county is looking at a 5% COLA. The city's looking at a 6.5% COLA, and Superintendent Parker, I think you guys kind of do, you're a little bit different animal there, but certainly we want your input on this. So what I can do here is, for example, we'll take the 5% COLA, what that would look like, and I'll come over here and paste it in here where this is blank. And you can see that tells us what the actual, with a 5% COLA, what this cost would be and what your contributions would be. So it looks like about a $5,300 increase for the city and the county, and about a little less than a $3,000 increase. And this is all the pluses and minuses here, not just this, but with a 5% COLA. So that's what that would look like. And then I can go back in here, take the 6.5, take that out and put this in. Well, hang on. Operator error here. And that's what the 6.5 would look like. Take us up to 753 on our salary and related expenses. Take city and the county up about 9,000 and the school board up about 5,000. So any comments and discussion on, and you could do any other thing you want to do as well, but that's just the 2 scenarios based on the city and county's announced COLAs.
Not from my recollection, the commission has recommended, following whatever the city recommended, since I've been on the commission. Is that correct?
Yes, I think historically that's been the case, at least in my 7 years here, yeah.
We will take a 5% recommendation to the fiscal court on Thursday. Mayor Jenkins, you all are meeting on Thursday at 4:30 as well. What's your all status?
Well, at this time, we are still looking at a 6.5 COLA increase. That's what we're looking at. And again, we're trying to fix some issues that are going on. You know, we were losing some, especially with our police and fire, we were losing a lot of our employees because we were not up to par with the surrounding cities that are comparable to us. And so, like I said, we had a few that already had left for higher paying jobs. And, we are 10 officers down already. And, we're trying to stop the bleeding, and we're trying to front end by putting them to where they will be a little bit more competitive. And also, and I felt that if we're going to take the 6.5% as city leaders, I felt that, we should extend that down to all our employees also. I wanted to make sure that everybody got a fair share of what we were getting.
Billy, you have any comments or questions related?
We did. Yeah, sure. So just for some comparative aspects, we I don't know, we dedicate just about 90% of our total budget towards compensation. We're a pretty large employer in the county. We did 3% for certified, and then we did for classified $1 per hour minimum raise, which can range for people percentage wise. But yeah, as far as I have no concerns with us sticking with following the kind of the pre-established course that we have been on previously with following the city's recommendation.
Just so everybody, we base our recommendation on a document from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics on a national recommendation for government entities, and that number's what we followed for a few years, and this year it's at 5. So we didn't just magically pick that out of the hat. We follow that number, and that's what the courts used in the past, and we'll continue to recommend it. And we think a 5% is a good number. But along the lines of what Billy has said, just historically, the commission has followed the city's recommendation. And that does not mean we have to do that today, but if someone wants to make a motion today, we'd certainly entertain that.
Well, I'll make a motion that we, go with the 6.5. We use the, data that was the Stacy was received about from I think Kentucky League of Cities and other entities. So that's what we went with. So that number was not put out, like you said, put out there either. That's what we came up with. We just took the maximum on that.
I understand that as well. So there's a motion for 6.5.
I'll second that.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. With that said, then Scott will, plug that in into the budget recommendation. The other question that I would like to address today is just what is the pleasure of the commission in regards to recommendation from Scott to create a general counsel assistant director position and essentially add $12,000 stipend that was there previously for general counsel on top of the current stipend for Jessica. And what that creates though is it creates some pay compression or pay issue related to the director's position. So just looking at it, I don't think it would be appropriate to leave it that way. And I do think that the trying to be a good steward of tax dollars, looking at what we would projected to possibly be billed over the next year for outside legal services, there'd definitely be a significant savings for the commission to consider a general counsel assistant director's position. And if you take that salary that there's currently being at the level there of $90,703 and add 12 to it, then the recommendation would be for $102,703 for general counsel and assistant director salary. And then we'd have to make some type of adjustment to deal with this pay compression with the director's salary. And 6-7% on top of that would get you to about 106,703. So my recommendation would be to consider creating the assistant director general counsel position and compensating them at that position at 102,703. Then I would suggest and recommend adjusting the director's salary to 106,703. Does that make sense, or is it clear as mud?
That makes sense, and I would make a motion to do that.
All right, and I will second that motion.
Any other question or comment? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. With that said, Scott, was there, any other items related to the budget that you wanted to try to address?
Well, there's one employee that Jessica and I believe it may be due for a reclassification based on what they've been doing here for the past couple of years and what the position is kind of morphed into, but we're still working on the data on that. So I don't know if you want to approve this preliminary budget pending what we bring to you next month. That would be the only other budget item. We're just kind of trying to pull some data, use the KLC and the KCO salaries to try to come up with what we think the right position and pay might be for this person. But we're just not prepared today to deal with that part. This solves most of the questions that we had with the budget. And of course, you just resolved this one here where I'll put the leave this blank and then put the 12,000 up here in the salaries and wages. We're still waiting on, I should by this time next month have the final number for the cybersecurity policy. That's always a big increase. And then we'll present that other thing with this particular employee. With your permission, that's how we'd like to proceed.
And then this is a question, then, we can consider the preliminary budget with that one item that you would like to address at the next meeting. I think if we wanted to consider that today, it would just kind of check the box and move on. We could consider that last item, but I do want to make mention, because I do believe that we will need continued outside counsel in some manner, not as much, but and certainly Sturgill Turner has been nothing but professional and done nothing but a good job. What do we need to do going forward to maintain that relationship and then have that service available when Jessica or whoever, whenever there's a recommendation that we seek some outside counsel? I'm I'm asking the question, so, Jay or Scott or Billy or Bernie, anybody, please share your thoughts.
Well, my thoughts are we could, in this box here, the legal fees, we could just replenish the reserve funds of $10,000. We've also already got Sturgill Turner engaged. Now, of course, the COLA and the Jessica being the general counsel, that wouldn't take effect till July 1 anyway. So we'd still have to pay the invoice that Charlie referenced and then whatever work they do between now and the end of June. But we could certainly go ahead and do another $10,000 essentially not necessarily a retainer. We wouldn't pay it to Sturgill Turner unless that's the way you want to do it. But we could set it aside, go ahead and do a reserve fund disbursement, put it in reserve funds, and we'll basically replenish what we have worked through since January, minus the original $357 in 2021, which is when we initially engaged them for pending litigation that turned out to be not litigation. It was settled very quickly, and there was a small invoice. And we've been working out the $9,643 ever since January, well, really February. So that's a possibility. I'm just throwing that out there.
Any other comments?
This is Charlie Cole, Sturgill Turner. We work with a lot of city governments, most of them in this area. And what they'll generally do is what Scott's suggesting, put like $10,000 or some amount there. And then if for example, the mayor wants to use us, then the mayor engages us and we just operate out of that. And usually it's a year-to-year thing. And, 10,000 for your entity is probably a good number.
So, would someone want to make a motion to just simply put that dollar amount in that line item? And it would be there for staff to engage Sturgill Turner when needed, pending litigation, whatever it might be. What do you think there, Mr. Parker, Mr. Jenkins?
I make a motion to do that.
Yep, I would second that.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So the motion passes there. Do we want to approve the preliminary budget as presented, knowing that we'll come back with one item in June on a staffing issue, or do you want to just wait till then?
That's up to you, gentlemen. Maybe that's a Charlie or a Jay question in terms of procedure.
Yeah, I think we just have to resolve those two pending issues with the lockbox, and then I think we'll probably be on just an as-needed basis. So I don't see the invoice going up too much from here once we get those two items resolved.
But does anybody see any issue with us approving the budget as presented and then coming back in June for the one position that we might need to reclassify?
I make that motion to do that.
All right.
Oh, I'll second that.
All right. Any other questions or comments? So the motion is to approve the preliminary budget as presented with the changes that we mentioned today, and we'll come back. We'll come back in June to look at the one item or one position that might be reclassified. So we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. That's good news. We're moving things forward. Appreciate everybody's input. The next regularly scheduled meeting would be June 28th at 10 a.m. Any other comments or questions before we ask for a motion to adjourn?
I just want to say on behalf of the staff, thank you. Thank you for the COLA. I know Jessica will be very pleased about the general counsel position. And as always, we appreciate and are very grateful for all of your support.
Very good. I appreciate the job you all do. Would there be a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, please.
Second.
Second for Mr. Jenkins. please vote by pushing leave. So y'all have a good day,
Thanks.
and we will talk soon. Thanks so much.
See everybody in June.
All
Yep.
right.
See you all.